No, this whole thing, all of this, it's all about me.
Oh, behave. Yeah. Yeah, baby.
Tin Hut.
How you doing, booth campers? Andrew Scott, and you are back at the VO Booth Camp. I'm saying that differently now because somebody else started kind of using that name, so I needed to differentiate myself. So it is the VO Booth Camp. Today, I want to talk about how you behave.
Oh, behave. Yeah.
Behavior, forward-facing behavior, is actually really, really important to your business. Even if you're doing this as a side hustle or a hobby, you still need to look at it as a business. Even if you're not making money, you need to look at your VO practice as a business. And because of that, there are things that you shouldn't do because they'll damage you in the long run. And that's important to kind of keep in mind. You may be doing this as a hobby or side hustle now, but I imagine you want to grow into the future with the ability to, I don't know, maybe one day have this be your full-time job, your full-time income. And in order to do that, you kind of need to, how do I say this? Not make an absolute mess of things before you start. Now, I did a short form hot mic video about it. It'll be up here that will condense a lot of this, but this bears repeating. And really, a lot of it is coming from the other side of me, the moderator of online forums, okay? Because I deal with a lot of people who, frankly, are desperate for work. Now, I'm going to approach this in two ways. Number one, I've been there, all right? Anybody starting out in VO has been there. And you might be there right now. You might have that deep desire. I just want to work. I just want to do a thing. I just want to be involved with somebody's project. And, you know, I want to validate that feeling for you. That's a real thing. And as an artist or a burgeoning artist, you deal with that. But there are a number of habits and practices and manners of doing things that can really get in the way of you taking that next step and should be avoided. Okay, so number one, don't try and be everywhere at once. Now, by this, I mean social media, website, all that stuff. Yeah, you should have it and you should be working with it to one degree or another. But you don't need to constantly be throwing that information out in every single area of your presence. It just gets really old. It's almost like people are going to say to you, don't you have anything else to say? When you're in a discussion group or a special interest group or a Facebook group or whatever, participate in the discussion. Don't always throw your card out into the mix. It just gets really tiring. And honestly, people like casting directors, as soon as they see stuff like that, they immediately, mentally or possibly physically, put you on the ignore list. And I'll cover why at the end. So holding hands with this is this habit for new VO talent to constantly let people know they do VO.
Yeah.
Now, I can't speak to your friends and family and how they might react.
I know you know.
Although they're probably getting a little tired of hearing about it too.
Yes, that's true.
But again, when you're participating in other, well, that was a weird cough. Hairball. So when you're participating in other places, you don't always have to lead with, I do VO. Okay? If it comes up, that's fine. If it's salient to the discussion, that's also fine. But if you're talking about shoes, people don't need to necessarily know that you do voiceover. Okay, so the next two are actually kind of big deals to me. And they're kind of big deals to me more as a casting director than as a voice talent. When you're setting up your website and you're setting up your social media profiles, be honest about your skill level, or at least be willing to be honest about your skill level. Okay? That's important. Your integrity means something. It should mean something to you, but it also means something to somebody who's considering hiring you. And this dovetails into the next thing that I'm going to say. When you're setting up those points of contact, those social media profiles and your website, don't put up a picture of a Neumann U87 on your website as, the background when all you have is a Stellar X2. That's disingenuous. And of course, by disingenuous, I mean a lie. Don't use images of things you don't have, thinking that you're probably not going to get called on it and, it looks pro. And no, don't do that. Because to be perfectly honest, like me will actually check to see if that's the equipment you work with. Now, to wrap all this up, nice and tidy like, the reason why I bring this stuff to your attention is this. Stop being
desperate, needy, pathetic.
You obviously saw my personal ad.
desperate. Stop appearing desperate. Stop acting desperate for work, for roles, for attention. Nobody wants to hire somebody who is so eager that they're willing to lie in order to get attention. And I bring this up for two reasons today. Number one, I just got out of a whole thing in an online forum where I had to tell people, look, this post said, DM me for details. And all y'all are throwing out your links like, ooh, I'm interested here. Go listen to me over there, blah, blah, blah.
I'm hopeless and awkward and desperate for love.
When the post very clearly stated, DM me for details. And everybody ignored them. And now we've got a thread that's 12 or 14 posts long of desperate people looking desperate.
Just pointing out the irony.
But the other reason is because working from a place of desperation is not good for you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Don't look desperate. Nobody wants to hire somebody who looks desperate. And you always want to be putting your best presence forward, even if at times putting that best presence forward means...
Knock, knock. Who's there? Shh.
No, you don't need to say that. You don't need to. If you are told to contact somebody in a certain way, do it. If you are told that there's a process to go through in order to be considered, do it. These things are actually really easy. And again, I want to validate this to you. What you're trying to do, get into the home voice world, is hard work. Again, not digging a ditch hard, not carry barbells to the attic hard, but it's still hard. And a lot of the reason why it's so hard is because the market is very full of people like you and like me, but like you, who are trying to get a foot in. There are lots of feet going into lots of doors, okay? That's very true. And it's not getting any easier, but you can make it easier on yourself and at the same time, increase your chances of being noticed by being a good operator, by being a good player, by not constantly making every single comment or communication or interaction with anybody else all about you and your VO business. When I hire people, and I just hired 2 people today, when I hire people, I really look at who they are as personalities out in the world. And I don't want to be working with somebody who is, ooh, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. I don't want to look at you. I don't have to look at you. I simply need to hear what you can do and who you've done it for. And if you haven't done it for somebody in the past, tell me, because you know what? As a casting director, I'm known for giving people a break. If I hear the talent, if I can tell that that person devoted the time and effort to excellence, I'm going to give you a shot. Because at the end of the day, what matters is what's coming out of here and what's coming out of here. And if you're so desperate that you're going to ignore all the rules and try to do end arounds all the time and constantly be drawing attention to yourself, I'm just going to say it this way. You sound like a high maintenance person. And you know what many casting directors don't have time for? High maintenance people. Take a step back and then step forward with your best presence. That's what gets attention outside of an excellent demo reel. But that's what I got for you this week. All right? Take it to heart. Nobody wants to look desperate. So stop doing it. I'm Andrew Scott, and you've been at Booth Camp. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.
Dismissed.